I am a firm believer in the fact that everything happens for a reason and that there's a lesson in everything if we choose to look for it. So, 2 weeks ago or so, I was extremely ill, probably about a week ago. And I got back from Bali, and while I was on that flight back, I started to feel a little bit ugh. And essentially, as soon as I arrived in London, I was staying at my dad's friend's house, and I was terrible. I was absolutely atrocious. I I was vomiting, I was shitting, and at this time, during these 2 weeks, I was actually doing shift work. I was doing 4 hours a day on the toilet. It was horrible, and I was shitting gallons. I'd be drinking water, electrolytes. I could only eat white rice, white bread, and bananas, and I just shit out water regardless of what I consumed. It was a pretty shit time to say the least, pun intended. But I believe that you can learn and you can find lessons in everything if you choose to look for it. So during this time, like if we backtrack a little bit, I was actually working way too much. I was out in Bali, and yes, I was having a good time, but I was working 6 days a week, and I was probably working between 8 to 12 hours every single day. So I didn't give myself the opportunity to take a break, and therefore I believe that God gave me a break and forced my body to take a break essentially. The illness, the food poisoning bacteria that I had, essentially should only last between 3 and 7 days. But I was a unique case where it lasted 2 weeks, and it was pretty bad. So after, and actually during this time, I decided to make some notes and ask myself questions. What can I learn from being ill? So the first one was actually the fact that I overworked myself and the fact that I drove myself to being ill because I was working too much. And it made me realize that I just needed to trust God more and to focus on the inputs, let go of the outcomes, and just know that everything's taken care of. And while I'm a big advocate for working hard, I worked a little bit too hard, where I'd be doing so many hours that my quality of work actually reduced. And I didn't give myself the time to rejuvenate, to actually get back on track, to bring my level of energy up again so that my input and quality of work got better. Therefore, I got ill. A big lesson that I learned from being ill is how important health is as well. When you really take care of your body, everything is fantastic. But you can have 101 problems in your business, in your life, but as soon as you have a health problem, you have one problem. And nothing else matters anymore. It is crazy how much it strips back everything in your life where you're unable to do anything. You're completely bedbound, and all you want is to get better. You don't care about the business success anymore. You don't care about the client emails that are coming in. You just want to be better again. It's crazy. Another thing, wealth without health is shit. Wealth without health is shit. There's no point in being a billionaire if you're fat, if you're like low energy. If you don't take care of yourself, you could die at 50. You could get cancer from all of the shit foods that you consume, the lack of exercise that you do, and the cigarettes or vaping that you can that you have, right? If you have wealth, it doesn't matter if you don't have your health. So therefore, if I prioritize, firstly, God comes first for me. But if I prioritize my health, then and God, then the wealth just comes, right? I'd much rather be broke and fit than be wealthy and fat. I'd take that bet all day, every day, because you can build that conviction and you can, as a byproduct of being healthy, you develop this high energy, this conviction in yourself that you believe in yourself and you can do anything. But if you're fat and you're wealthy, you can lose everything, right? And you probably won't have the drive to get it back. What else did I learn? So I got to be more humble and grounded. I got to be more sympathetic and empathetic towards others. One thing that I do, and this is still something that I actually I kind of need to develop as a trait, but I tend to switch myself off every time I hear anything to do with complaining or victim mentality. Right? I'm a victim because this happened to me. And what I've realized is when something's outside of your control, then you can just let go, right? I was ill. I couldn't do anything about it. Yes, I followed the doctor's instructions and stuff, but I couldn't do anything about it, so I just let go. But I still felt bad. I still felt terrible, but I couldn't do anything about it. However, victim mentality is when you can do something about it, but you choose to tolerate it. And that I can't actually accept to hear from anybody. I switch my brain off immediately when it's something that is in somebody's control and there is an immediate solution to it, but they choose to avoid it and complain instead. However, when it is towards illness and something like that, I do believe in being a little bit more sympathetic towards others, because being in that situation and feeling so bad made me more grounded. So it's a lesson that I had to learn, guys. Another thing, you don't realize how much you appreciate something until it's stripped away from you. And not only is that health, but food. Food, right? The only thing I could think of was what I wanted to eat when I got better. And I mean, not the only thing. I did actually really want to get back into the gym. That was the main thing. But you don't realize how much you miss food until it's completely gone. And guys, I've had COVID 6 times in my life. My taste buds are pretty fucked. My sense of smell is pretty much gone. But even still, I love food. And honestly, when it's stripped away from you and you can only have white toast, white rice, and bananas, it gets a little bit repetitive and you feel like shit. And another thing, right? Be grateful for God in the good and the bad. A prayer that I did was, God, I know you've already healed me, and I thank you for already healing me. And I felt terrible. Each day that went by, I felt worse and worse, right? But I kept praying that prayer because I knew that I'd already been healed. And one thing that is important to realize in the good and in the bad is not only stay close to God, but to realize that this too shall pass. I knew that this was just going to be a memory that I was going to be reflecting on at some point in my life. It just happened to be a week later on the 18th of June, rather than, just being ill forever, right? This too shall pass. And it's an important framework just to remember. Whenever you're in the lows, they're not going to last forever. Whenever you're in the highs, they're not going to last forever. You're going to still continue to seek progress and seek to become a better version of yourself, right? The highs won't stay high forever, and the lows don't stay low forever. This too shall pass. But it's important to be grateful to God in the good and the bad, because He is your protector, your provider, and He's always there for you. So, yeah, those are the lessons that I've learned, and it's so important to reflect on every single part of your life. I like to reflect weekly now. Every Friday, I've actually blocked in my calendar some time to reflect on the previous week and think back, what could I learn from this? Anything that happens to me, what can I learn from this? What can I do differently next time? Why was my immediate emotional response this when this happened? And I can start to reframe my mindset and reframe the story that I've been telling myself that, when this thing happens to me, I start feeling this emotion because of this. And when you start telling yourself that story, it happens again and again until you change that story. So you can learn from anything if you choose to. And this is an important lesson that I want you to take with you for life, because reflection is one of the best things that, God invented. It's the hindsight, but taking hindsight and using it as a lesson to learn for next time. So with that said, I hope you have a very blessed day. I hope you learned something from this video, and I will see you in the next one, amigos. Adios.